Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance. Business owners, meet Progressive Insurance. They make it easy to get discounts on commercial auto insurance and find coverages to grow with your business. Quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided and serviced by affiliated and third-party insurers. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Clorox Sentiva smells like grapefruit. Cleans like Clorox. And feels like...
Okay, we could be here all day. Try Clorox Sentiva for a trusted clean with long-lasting freshness. Also available in lavender and coconut. Use as directed.
Hello, sweet little angel fairies.
Hello, sweet gnomes. Welcome to a brand new episode of But Am I Wrong?
Question mark?
Question mark? This is But Am I Wrong, where we tell you when you're wrong. Doesn't that sound like a good time?
I love that time.
And here's the thing. We're not telling you listeners when you're wrong. People are submitting themselves. They're subjecting themselves to being like, hey, pass some judgment.
Mm-hmm.
From two gorgeous hotties who I trust their judgment, would love to hear it, but also can be like, hey, I'm presenting the situation. I want to judge this one. Who do you want to judge? And then we say, yes, it's this one. Actually, no, it's the other one. And then we also do things where we judge people that like you're probably judging already on your timeline. You know, you're scrolling through TikTok. It's like the hyperfixation, the thing that you've been thinking about, or someone you've never heard of before. And that suddenly is like your mortal enemy by the time the episode's over.
Yes, I got a little lost in there, but I know what the show is, so I don't really need an explanation.
And that's all I need from you. Because you also just watched me take my medication.
I did.
So you know that it will kick in.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally what I want in my day is to have the crossover where, like, you know, it starts to taper off and then it picks back up. Unfortunately, sometimes, as in yesterday, when we recorded, it tapered off. And then about 2 hours later, I realized, oh shit, I got to take it again. So that was more of a struggle. Anyways, we have 3 different segments in this show. We will explain each one before we get into it. But we want you to participate. That's really what you need to know. We don't just want you to listen. Obviously, we love when you listen. We love when you watch the video version on Patreon. But we really love it when you participate. So we post on our Instagram stories all of the different segments and who do you think was wrong? And you vote on each one. And then we read the results on our See You Next Tuesday episode of who was wrong, what the masses said. We read the percentages of what the jury's verdict was, as well as your responses on why you voted the way you did, your thoughts and your feelings. So you can just reply to those stories. We also put them in a highlight as they're up, and we do now do a quicker turnaround with these.
Yep.
But we love to hear from you, and truly, unless it's like really fucking insane, there are no hard feelings if you vote opposite from us, unless you pick something
racist.
Yeah, unless you're like, yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the cop who sexually harassed who did all these horrible things.
I love a pointy white hat.
Yeah, if you say that, then I would go, I think you were lost, and thank you for letting us know who you are. Anything else, or should we get into our first segment?
Let's go ahead and dilly-dally, triple dog dare, somersault, backflip, dive into But Am I Wrong?
And which one is this?
This is where we pick something from our personal lives or a rant or something we just feel very passionately about that we like to educate everyone else on. And not scream, but let it marinate into the juices of our brains.
Oh, yeah. I love a marinated psyche.
And then we also put that up to vote. And you're first this week, Megan. What do you have?
I am first. My first is, I don't know if this is a hot take, but really what this is class is in session, motherfucker.
Uh-oh.
Words have meaning.
Do you need a ruler?
Smack some ass. Words have meaning. And the word in question today is bullying.
Oh, gosh.
Now, the Oxford Dictionary definition of bullying, I'm pulling a U, seek to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable. Now, this man named Clayton, I don't know what the fuck his last name is. He was the Bachelor. And I will say it, and here's the thing. Clayton, I will bully you. I'll show you what bullying is.
That was in your profile for a long time, wasn't it? Is it still there?
Well, I do like to give people a warning that I will, in fact, bully them. Mm-hmm. He responded because Gabby, why is my mind go to Gabby Douglas? Gabby Windy, she was a contestant on his season of The Bachelor. And then she went on to do like a dual season of The Bachelorette, her and this other woman, Rachel. And then she also went on to win The Traitors. She's got a very funny podcast. She is married to this comedian, Robbie.
I do not know these people, so I'm not going to be able to help you at all.
Robbie Hoffman? I'm like 99% sure it's Hoffman. Yes, Robbie Hoffman. And she was just recently, Gabby's hilarious. She's like, so funny. She's just wonderful. She's got mommy problems. So I'm like, I relate. I see you. I've shown you some of her TikToks.
When you say mommy problems, I'm more so thinking of mothers that have problems instead of mommy issues.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for sure. But she was recently a guest on the Las Culturistas podcast with Matt Rogers and Bowen Yang. And one of the things that she is asked about frequently is her history of being on The Bachelor, because Gabby is a lesbian now. That's as far as everything I've seen her, how she describes herself is that she was like, yeah, I went on The Bachelor. And I was like, oh, how did that end? And she goes, well, I'm married to a woman now, so not well.
So
and
Robbie is a woman.
Robbie is a woman.
Okay.
And so it's like she incorporates this in a lot of her bits about like being like, can you believe it? Like that this is who I was before I was on the show. And everyone's like, oh, were you? She's like, I didn't even know I was gay. She's like, everybody would message me in the DMs afterwards being like, Gabby, we knew. And she was like, everybody knew but
Why
me?
didn't you tell me?
Yeah. And so she is like talking about it on their podcast being like, can you fucking believe that like I like essentially like that I crashed out over a man who looked like he looks like a thumb. Like, and he treated her so poorly. Like he really like he slept with all three finalists. I didn't watch his season, but I saw all this when it was going down because I was like, this man is, I think I've called this man a toe and a thumb before she even did. I was like,
what's his name?
A thumb. Clayton.
If I just put it in Clayton Bachelorette.
Yeah, Clayton Echard.
You showed him to me before.
Mm-hmm. So she was like, just talking about it, be like, okay, like he slept with the last three contestant finalists, which like objectively as someone who used to watch The Bachelor is poor form. You should not sleep with the last three finalists because by the way, they will find out. Like it is not something that you can like, you can't secretly, like it just doesn't fucking happen. And so
remember that time you were in the audience for The Bachelor?
Yes, I think they still literally used that as a reaction. And I was like, that was from 1 year, like one time, but they reused it all these other seasons. And then one of the girls found out that he slept with all three of them. And she was like, she self-eliminated and basically was like, I'm out. Because usually how it is like you know you're the one who's getting picked because it's who you slept with. Like, and by the way, I think the women, the bachelorettes, should be allowed to sleep with all of them. The men, they keep it a secret. And then they're like, oh my God, she found the women who are like, yeah, I'm sleeping with all of them. I got to figure it out. Mm-hmm. The guys don't do it like that. So the girl found out that she self-eliminated. And so then he was like, okay, you know, like sad about it, but like I'm still, I've got Rachel and Gabby here. And, you know, Gabby tried to self-eliminate. And then he was like, no. Insists on her staying. Then like, whatever, 2 days go by, they're sequestered. And he goes, actually, to both of the girls at the same time, I'm going to go get the other one. Dumps them at the same time together for the girl who left.
Wow.
Did her so dirty on fucking national. Like, did her so dirty. And this man is a fucking thumb. So, of course, she doesn't have nice things to say about him. But in the context of how she's talking about him on the podcast, it is like, of all of the people for me, like, can you believe that I did, like, perceived to be one of the straightest things ever, which is like going on The Bachelor and doing all of this kind of shit. And she goes, and for this man, like, this was the man that was standing between me and realizing that I was gay. Like, what the...
Sometimes it takes a man like that, I guess.
And so she's talking about that. And so then he makes a response where he makes a fucking response video. And she talks about his skinny jeans and how he's like making cringy dances on TikTok.
That thick man wears skinny jeans?
That pea-headed man. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Body like a hoagie. Straight one size all the way down.
I can tell just from his neck up.
Yeah. We got the tiniest little head. He's got a pea on top of a hoagie. And skinny jeans without a doubt the ankle is out. And low socks probably too.
Mm-hmm. Or no socks,
show socks
with loafers.
Boat shoes. Ugh, yeah, yuck. So then he makes a response video on his TikTok to her being on a podcast. She didn't like make a TikTok about it. She was asked a question on the podcast about it. And he's like, Gabby, bullying is never okay. Like, this is my passion, which I did recently have.
What is his passion?
Well, I had one of the top comments on a TikTok about this because I was like, skinny jeans are his passion? Like, that's what she was really making fun of him for, of like this man wearing skinny jeans. Like, no, they meant dancing. I was like, Gabby was a Broncos cheerleader and on runner-up on Dancing with the Stars. And his dancing passion is TikTok dances? This man went on Charlie Kirk. This man is like manosphere, like men's mental health awareness, which is the alt-right fucking pipeline. And now all of Bachelor Nation, by all of Bachelor Nation, I mean like the people who self-identify as Bachelor Nation, so the white women of Ohio, they are so mad at Gabby of like, she is a bully, she's a horrible person, all of this. These are the same people who defend contestants for doing the most racist shit of being like, it's not, but it's this. And Clayton, Gabby wasn't bullying you. She was talking shit. And by the way, that is, as a society, we have to maintain the passing along of storytelling. And sometimes storytelling smells a little stanky. Sometimes it's a little shitty. It's a little poo-poo. It's a little shit talk. And I can show you bullying. And this is objectively crazy also because this is the same man who like had that whole thing with that girl. I'm like 99% sure it was him. The girl who like pretended to be pregnant with his like,
oh, yes.
And I'm like, okay, Clayton, let's talk about, like, we have bigger fish to fry. Like, you're upset about Gabby here. And really what it is giving is like straight guy who is like feeling offended, as they do for some fucking reason, when their exes come out as gay afterwards. That's the vibe he's giving me. And I'm like, ew. And also, Clayton, you have eyes. You do look a little bit like a thumb. And like, that's okay. I've been told sometimes someone told me I look like a pug once. And I was like,
I think your eyes would need to be. I've seen people that look like pugs.
I've seen
their eyes.
And I knew what they meant.
You don't have those eyes.
No, but like baby me looks like what Amy Schumer grew up into. Like we can be self-aware about our own appearance. There was one time a Got Milk ad with a man in chainmail. And I looked exactly like him. And I did a side-by-side photo. And I said, twin.
Where have you been?
In the pages of the magazine selling Got Milk. So words have definitions. And I really cannot fucking stand when a man's going to get up here and say bullying. Please explain to me the power imbalance here. Please explain to me how you are being picked on for being weaker, lesser, and little. Mr. Hoagie. Hate it. The end.
You're not wrong.
The pictures of side by side that they do, though, Clayton in like a stupid little suede jacket, Gabby in like a suit with her glasses looking gorgeous and cunty.
I love that.
I think you'd really like her. She's really funny. And she's really smart.
All right, we're going to take a break. And when we get back, we'll get into mine.
There are many ways to entice a potential new customer with flashy branding and calculated marketing strategies. But at the end of the day, the success of a business comes down to the ability to close the sale. And for businesses like Thrive Cosmetics, Allbirds, or Skims, It's what goes on behind the scenes, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple that makes the difference. For them and for millions of businesses, that difference is made with Shopify. Businesses that want to grow, grow with Shopify. Because if your goal is growth, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. And Shopify will make sure you're ready. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And with Shop Pay, they boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. It's no wonder Shopify is home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Principles. Are there limits to the U.S. government's debt growth? What will happen if the debts are not curtailed? What should policymakers or investors do? Those are urgent questions that legendary investor and New York Times bestselling author Ray Dalio addresses in his new book, How Countries Go Broke, The Big Cycle. The book comes out in June and is available for pre-order today, wherever books are sold.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
We're back from our break, and now it's time to get into mine. And mine is protests should be a little scary. So there are a plethora of reasons why people protest. There was a big one this past weekend. Well, when you're hearing this, 2 weekends ago. Protests happen as a collective expression and action aimed at bringing about change or prevented unwanted change. In this case, both. You also go to express grievances and dissatisfaction, demanding change, raising awareness and education in the public, exercising rights and freedoms, showing solidarity and support. People protest because they feel something is wrong and they want to make it right. They use the power of the collective action to express their grievances, demand change, raise awareness, exercise their rights, and show solidarity. Protests are a vital part of democratic societies and a powerful tool for social and political change throughout history. And like I said, there was a protest a couple weeks ago. I did not attend because I'm Black and I voted for Kamala Harris, and also I had class. Mm-hmm. I am classy, but I had a physical class to go to.
It's cool.
And for quite a few people, white people, the majority of the people that were out there, it was their first protests.
At big old ages, too.
And they didn't know how to act. And I just want to reflect back onto some of the biggest movements in this country. All came with violence. Mm-hmm. And so, like the civil rights movement, my ancestors' family, people were getting sprayed down with hoses, attacked by dogs, beat by police. Even in recent, if we want to go to like 2020, mm-hmm. guns were being pulled out. People were hit by rubber bullets and maced, and a lot of horrible things. Yes, Kent State with people having sit-ins for Palestine, mm-hmm. students losing their degrees. Mm-hmm. Like, you should be a little bit afraid. That's why, like, a lot of times when people are protesting, they will make sure that they don't have any unknown warrants out for their arrests. Like, they forgot to pay like a parking ticket or something, because there's a little fear that goes into this. You're disrupting the people in power. And so then they don't like that. So they try to fight that with the police or unauthorized. Remember when they were just picking people up in the streets? They're still doing that. Like ICE is doing that now.
Yep.
So
and
like
in civilian clothes. It's like, it's not like you see on TV and that's with due process is out the fucking window.
Right. Like there is a part of fear that goes into it. I'm sure your dad probably had a lot of stuff going on too.
Well, I was going to say that like as a kid who grew up at like going to protests, there were specific ones that I went to. It's not every, so like my memories of protests as a kid are parade protests, which are going to celebrate something that, you know, before gay marriage was legalized, like having, I don't even think it was during Pride, but like having a celebration of that. It is not about disrupting necessarily the status quo, but showing support and showing up for a cause. And then also like things that are like, you know, the honking ones where you're standing with a group of people, but like they are not mass organized at like massive levels like this, or even ones that are protests about like action based of like signing up and trying to get people to like sign a petition for this and do X, Y, and Z or whatever. Those are the ones that I went to as a kid. That was like not all the protests my dad was going to. Like he won't even tell me how many times he's been arrested. And specifically some of them could be not at protests, but like I assume most of them are, as far as I know.
Yeah. So like you grew up going to protests, but going to ones that were
a specific subset.
Yes, appropriate for a child to go to.
Yes.
So this woman, Meghan, not this one.
With no H, right?
No H.
Okay.
Gilman got on Threads and typed this out. Thoughts from my first protest. 1. My kid was bored. I don't think it would be too hard to arrange a bouncy castle or something. 2. People laughed at my sign, so I made some friends, and that was nice. 3. IDK, I think there should be more singing. Overall, 8 out of 10 would do it again. So I'm going to go through these. 1, your kid was bored. If your kid was bored, that means that you didn't educate them enough to even be going to this protest. And if they're I don't know how old her kids are. If they were too little to understand and they had to be pushed in a stroller, give them the fucking iPad. And then arranging a bouncy house. You do know people like gets pepper sprayed and rubber bullets are shot out.
What if a rubber bullet hit the bouncy house? What if they
hit the bouncy house, hit your kid? These are things that you need to be very aware of while you're there. Not that your kid is bored. What is wrong with you?
No, it's
literally
crazy.
What is wrong with you? And then people laughed at my sign, so I made some friends. Okay.
Also, show me your sign.
I want to see this sign. What did it say? Are you sure they weren't laughing at you?
That's my question. Are they laughing with you or at you? Because when I read it, I assumed it was at, and then I was like, when you just read it again, I go, oh, I actually think she means with.
3, there should IDK. First of all, IDK. I think there should be more singing.
Do you know what we need? We need BuzzFeed to hire the people who make listicles back, because clearly this is what she's destined to do.
What do you mean? You think that everybody should be singing and chanting? Like there should be more of them?
Might I advise you to find a Give Peace a Chance fucking rally in Marin County, California? You will find so much sing-song and zero, like quite literally a lot of performative aspects. Like it is just like, this feels like the biggest like self-tell ever.
And then she said later, me to the internet. I'm going to my first protest. I'm nervous. The internet, we got you. We can do this. Thanks for showing up. You're going to have so much fun. 3 hours later. That was my best SpongeBob impression.
I think that's what she wanted you to do.
Yep. Me to the internet. I went to my first protest and I think it was great, but it would be awesome if we were more inclusive of children and families.
First of all, that's not what you said, and also still objectively weird.
The internet. Are you crazy? Protests are not supposed to be fun. Why don't you organize your own protest next time? You don't understand anything. Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, internet.
Exactly. But like, is this supposed to make us have sympathy for you?
I would bet you $100 that she has a Substack linked in her bio. Like, it is giving BuzzFeed listicle.
Yeah.
Because, like, why are you even rating a protest?
And then she goes later, today I got very confused because a lot of strangers on the internet implied that I was in some way uninformed or ignorant about what a protest, in quotes, a protest was supposed to be. And that a protest, quote unquote, and a rally, quote unquote, are totally different things.
Yes, they are.
And then she goes through and lists things that she clearly got off of the AI at the top of Google. Like, you, woman, you could have gone and had all these thoughts and you did not need to post it on the internet.
Of course she did, Melissa.
She wants to be seen.
Yeah, because she probably has a Substack.
And this is what's wrong with white feminists.
Mm-hmm.
This is everything in one. It's just encapsulated in one thread by this one woman.
Yep.
You don't want the pain and the hurt. You don't want to be out here really fighting for a cause. You wanted to go to a day party that you could bring your kids to. You should have just gone to the fucking farmer's market.
You know, she didn't want to be left out.
Yep.
That's what it's, there is and I say this as a white woman, there is this intrinsic need within my own community of needing to be included in everything. It's absolutely everything. This intense thing of like FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes like, oh, well, this is the thing. Like, this is what everybody's doing. Like, I got to be a part of it. And it's not like, oh, I have to be a part of it so like I can tell my grandkids I did something. It's no, I got to be a part of it. So in the moment when I'm there, I'm not scrolling and then seeing that other people are doing something. It's not like about like the guilt or the onus of like responsibility you have for your community. It is just about like an experience that like, well,
everybody else is doing it and I can't be left out and I need to get my pictures.
And it's really, and I know I had a really, really, really different upbringing than like specifically like most white women in progressive cities. But like to just like get online and say like you've never been to like a protest before and that you're afraid of it while also simultaneously like bringing your kid, like it just doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense to me. And like, you got through all of college without going to a protest. Like you got through like, you know,
you got through all of 2020
anything?
Without going to a protest.
Like I will give like COVID in if you were pregnant. Like I don't know how old her kid is. Like if she was,
but even like after Hillary lost and there was the pussy hat protest would have been perfect for her.
There were a lot of us there. Like,
I was there.
That's just like the thing that I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, there's just, to me, it's shocking to think that like at this day and age, and the part that's like disheartening to me is that like you found this to be relatable content to share. You should have been embarrassed that to me, it's like the same level of people being like, I'm going to vlog my first day ever voting. I am 29 years old and I've never voted in an election before. And I'm like, I hate that there's an audience for this. Like, I hate that this is a relatable thing of like, oh, let's not judge or whatever. I'm like, sometimes I do think we should judge.
Right.
And like her being like, turns out like a rally and a protest are not the same. Yeah.
No, when she did her own Google search, she concluded it was the same thing, but she was just using the AI at the top.
They're not the same.
They're not the same. And then also like, I saw this Black woman say she was at work and this white woman had asked her like, are you going out this weekend? Like doing the same type of vibes. And the Black woman was like, no, because when we show up, they call it a riot.
Well, and that's like the part of the reason why this white woman felt safe bringing her children. And it's like this idea of like, you can't claim to be, oh, I'm afraid what's going to happen, while simultaneously knowing that the turnout is going to be almost entirely white women specifically. And that's why you felt safe enough and comfortable enough to bring your kid. But then you also can't acknowledge that that's the reason why you felt safe enough, is because you knew it wasn't going to get violent, because you knew it was also just a bunch of other white women there. So then have this conversation with them.
Right.
Don't put it online.
Right.
And
then she kept double, triple, like quadrupling down on it. And it just was not, it's threads. It's not like she's getting paid to say this shit.
skin for free.
Like, I don't understand how you just get on the internet and then people are telling you why you're wrong and you're just keep pushing and pushing. I think she has a humiliation kink.
Well, especially because it started with I've never been to one of these before. I'm scared. And I go, now suddenly you're an expert?
Right.
Suddenly you know so much. And also, ma'am, there are rallies with fucking bouncy houses. Like, this is... you.
The Women's March in 2017. Yes. At the end of it, there was face painting, there were bouncy houses, there were balloons.
Do you know how many times I've gotten a pride flag painted on my face before the age of 10? Like, there is just no effort put into the thought process of all, and just assuming that everything is accommodating for you and your family. And like, do I think that in general things should be accommodating for children? Yes. But the world is not built like that. And then specifically, the goal of this, if you really thought that this protest was going to do much of anything, it has to disrupt the status quo. And therefore, there's a liability. Don't bring your fucking kid.
Right.
But I promise you, you can find things to support political, moral, ethical causes that are family friendly, involve your children, and will also teach you fucking something.
Mm-hmm. So if this is your first time experiencing something, shut up and learn from the people that have been before. And also keep your thoughts off the internet. There is no rating a protest, and
that's crazy.
You should be a little scared to go.
Mm-hmm. And also just think of what happens would you do if you saw a bunch of pointy white hats? Like, that's not, if that woman thinks like, oh, that's great. That's not what would happen if you saw a group of Proud Boys? Like, what would you do? Like, are you wearing shoes like, you shouldn't even be wearing like sandals. You need to be wearing closed-toed shoes with laces that you can run in. You need to have your location, like all that. I'm like, what are you going to do with your kid? Like, it's not about reapplying sunscreen. It's about like, if shit gets serious, what's going to happen to your kid?
Right.
Insane. Just give them a fucking little sign and do the honk a honk if you support.
You could have just
whatever.
In your car honking.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's also like, it's really not hard. And I do think involving your children in politics and like taking a stand for things is great. I do think that there's a huge reason of why I am the way that I am is because like, there was never a point where that wasn't a thing. I have an issue with authority. And I think a lot of it is because of like, that was just how I was brought up. And it's not even necessarily like active teaching, but it's also like the environments I was in, the communities I was in, and then the questions that would pose me to ask and do all of that. Like, it's a great thing. And I do feel like she's going to be like, fine, I just won't ever bring my kid again. I'm like,
and there was probably a point where you were bored when you were little.
Probably, but I don't remember to this day.
And the thing is like,
I survived.
You were there. You were still, just because you're bored doesn't mean that you're not soaking in the information.
Well, and also being bored didn't kill me. I'm fine. I survived. It didn't turn me against any cause or whatever. And like, I even remember like, you know, making signs with my friends. I remember inviting like new friends that I had if they asked what like my weekend plans were. And I was like, oh, I'm going with my dad to this thing, and having them come along. Like, there is such a way to have there be an entry point for children. But like, if you can't even do the bare minimum of researching this, then I'm like, don't bring your kid.
Right.
Even if this is the safest thing in the world, don't bring your kid, because you haven't even done enough research that like, God forbid, even something as like non-political as a road being shut down and then someone not paying attention to that and then turning down a closed down street. That happened. Like, it's not like an anti-protest. Like, it can literally just be an accident in that matter. If you haven't thought about all of those things and prepared all of like this, like, I don't think you should bring your kid. Like, that is not safe. I don't think you bring your kid to the farmer's market if you haven't had those conversations.
Right. She has a Deprogramming Diaries newsletter, yoga and movement IRL.
She looks like Midwestern. Like, I'm thinking.
The secret to earning more without burning out. Free course. Of course she's got courses. Good Girl Deprogramming.
What?
She has a coaching thing called Good Girl Deprogramming.
Okay, deprogramming from what? Because the alt-right?
From being a people pleaser.
Okay, I would like you to please me a little bit more. I'm now thinking Colorado.
New York.
Upstate?
New Windsor, New York. Ooh, well,
yeah, that's to me even more ridiculous if you're
in New York.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
All right. Well, that's mine.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Thanks. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we'll get into But Are You Wrong?
Shopping is hard, right? But there's a better way. Stitch Fix Online Personal Styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And she sends just for me pieces. Plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what I love and send back the rest. It's so easy. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Experience a progressive lens engineered with AI from Essilor, powered by individual measurements of your visual behavior. A lens personalized to you by an Essilor expert. Discover Verilux XR Track and enjoy instantly sharp vision in motion and seamless transitions from near to far. Find your local Essilor expert today at Essilor.com.
Revolutionize your cooking with the Tefal Infrared Air Fryer. Watch as your food crisps up through a large lighted window and delight in faster, crispier, and juicier results with no preheating thanks to Tefal's advanced infrared technology. Discover the future of cooking and bring innovation into your kitchen by visiting Tefal.com.
We are back. It's time for But Are You Wrong? This is where we read your submissions that you send to butamiwrongpod@gmail.com and tell us about the thing that is plaguing you. If you are wrong about something, would you be wrong? Tell us a situation. Keep it under 300 words. You have to be 18 or over. Please let us know your age. It is all anonymous, so pseudonyms are fine, but just give us all relevant information and we'll rule on it.
Here we go.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm 26, she, her, and I've been with my fiance, 28, he, him, for 2 years, engaged for 3 months. Something has been bothering me since the holidays. We went back to his hometown to spend Christmas with his mom. He's from a relatively small town. No matter where we went, Target, pre-boycott, Christmas tree shopping, church, we ran into somebody he slept with. Town bike. I've slept with my fair share of guys, so at first it didn't bother me. We've always been super open about our past, and I thought I wanted complete honesty in a relationship, but the more people we ran into, the more uncomfortable I felt. Would I be wrong to tell him that I actually no longer want complete honesty when it comes to our past hookups because it really made me feel some type of way? His high school reunion is coming up, and I think I'd rather not know. For more context, he is bi, so it was both men and women. I don't know if that matters, but I thought I'd throw it in there. The reason why you said I don't know if that matters is because it was a lot of people.
It doubled.
It was like, you were like, no, I just need you to know he was popular amongst everybody. People loved him. Here's the thing. If they were happy to see him, I know that this would without a doubt be tough. I understand. But if they were happy to see him, pat yourself on the back. Like he
was popular.
You got a good one.
Yeah.
You would not be wrong at all. I think this is the perfect mentality to have, is being like, hey, I love the radical honesty. Mm-hmm. I would actually like to be a little less radical in that honesty.
Yes.
And I think knowing that it's leading up to the high school reunion, which you said, hey, I've already seen what I needed to see. I don't need to know.
Oh my gosh, this is so funny.
Because to me, I'm like, at this point, how you're describing it, it's like, are you going with him as a date? Because like for me, I'd be like, I don't want you to point out the people you haven't slept with.
Of course she's going. That's why she's like, I'm done. I don't want to know anymore.
Here's the thing.
We even went to church.
Yeah, and the pastor is like, hey. It's like, oh my God.
He's the youth pastor, which it's always a gay man.
Here's the thing, though, that it's like, you will be able to tell when, and I've had that before, like Montan will go to like one of like his college friends' weddings and like I'll see someone who's looking at him or like looking at me and like they not even necessarily have a conversation. I'll be like, oh, they definitely fucked in college. Mm-hmm. And then I will ask later and he'd be like, oh, yeah. But like, you will know already. He doesn't need to be like, just for transparency, we slept together. He'd be like, by the way, I fucking understand.
Yeah.
I got it. Like, I now have seen enough of this that like, I have my own level of discernment to be like, yeah, this one you slept with, this one you did. And if there's any gray area, I can ask a follow-up question. But like, I think we can scale back on the explanation.
Or even disclosing voluntarily.
If I ask,
yeah,
tell
if I
me.
ask, that means I want to know.
Yeah.
If I don't ask, because it could have been like a joke before or just something they'd been like, you know, like I slept with him or her or whatever.
Well, also, especially like if, I don't know how far away you moved, but I think it is different when you're like in a city or something that you know they haven't been in as long. Because like
And
usually
that's
that
what-
means that like, you know, this is someone you date. This is like an ex that you might have heard about. But like
Yeah.
a high school, like this isn't necessarily have like, this usually doesn't bode to be a very, a significant relationship in your past, but also like anything you're going to have to like deal with on a regular basis.
Right.
Like, I don't think you should like make a new friend and then your boyfriend not tell, or your fiance not tell you like, oh, we boned one time.
Right. But if it's just in passing, just somebody you're seeing
in a
at
small fucking town
at Target.
at like Scoop, which was our ice cream place, like no, like this we leave that here. But I just have to say congratulations to you for signing clearly what was an incredibly desirable partner.
Someone's very giving.
Yes. And especially if like everyone's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh my God.
Yes.
Were you just dishing out orgasms left, right, and center? You can come, you can come. Like just, hey. But I personally, my taste, I love a run through, man.
Yeah, but it might just get tiring
No, totally.
when it's
I don't need you
everywhere
to tell me.
go.
I can figure it out on my own. And at this point, you've already figured it out.
And she was like, I've had my fair
No,
share.
you're like, I thought I was fucking,
Right,
he was fucking.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're not wrong.
You're not wrong at all. And you're handling this in a perfect way.
Thank you for sharing
Yeah,
this.
I love that. Thank you.
All right, the next one. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I have a but am I wrong? 32, she, her. My boyfriend, 30, he, him. And I've been together for 2 years and we've been living together for 6 months because I thought it was time and it could save money. And he was over my house all the time anyway. I love him so much and I love spending quality time with him, but I need physical space, not time away from him, if that makes sense. The problem is I hate waking up next to him every single morning. I hate that his stuff is where my stuff should be. And I hate that I have to plan my meals around what we jointly want to eat. I think I value my independence way too much, even though I deeply love him. Would I be wrong if I asked him to move out?
Oh my God, I didn't know we were going there.
I think that's the only way to save our relationship.
Well, he has to move out.
He has
You
to,
hate
because
him.
you're going to. Here's the thing. If you stay with him, he needs to move out. If you break up with him, he's going to move out anyway.
Regardless, this man needs to get out of your house.
He's got to get out of your house.
This man needs to get out of your house.
My other thing, it might be because this was your house before and now it's not just your house before and you might just feel suffocated. It might be where you need to find a new place that's y'all's place together.
Yeah.
And then that way it could possibly be bigger. There could be more things, but also you don't have a claim on you didn't have a claim on everything before. I don't think you're wrong. It was a trial period. There are a lot of couples that have 2 different bedrooms in the same, like one person has their own bedroom, the other person has their bedroom, and they are in the same house.
Yeah. I mean, we've said this on this podcast before. I'm like a firm believer in one person should never move into another person's established space. You should always move into a new place together. And like, even when Mats and I were dating, like we started dating in October of a year, one of those years. And then in January,
10 years ago.
Yeah. And in January, we moved just to the upstairs unit of that same place. And like, it's just about like, because why would a man be there? Why is a man encroaching on your, like, you're having to adjust things that have already been established that you've had and like you have familiarity with, like you're used to this thing being there and now suddenly his thing is here. And also there's like a level of, if he's already like, you know, coming over to be a guest, men also get real comfortable real fast. So I would also ask yourself, like, is he being respectful of your place? Because sure, he can pay rent there, he can pay whatever there, but I do think there is a power imbalance when you move into someone's established place, because I do think if this was your place first, whether you own it or you rent it or it's your furniture, whatever that is, I do think you have a bigger say.
Yep.
Like I just fundamentally do because you have more liability there, whether it's like your security deposit or your furniture or mortgage or whatever. So if he's like, you know, being kind of like more lax with like of all of those things, if he like has shifted from a guest in a home perspective to I live in my mom's basement versus I live with a partner and a roommate and someone I care about, and this is a place that they care about, I think to me, that is a move out. And then maybe we can see about you growing up and getting back together. But like, whatever he needs.
You don't have to break up, though.
No, but he has to leave.
He has to leave, though.
I hate this for you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't feel like this at 6. Like, you really, like...
You probably felt like this at 2 months, and
yeah,
now you're just
still,
like...
And you're like, okay,
I just need an adjustment period. Nope.
No. An adjustment period's normal. You're past the point of an adjustment period. Like, I love Mott's to death, but the level of, like, annoyance that I had from my... Because, like, when I moved downstairs, when he moved upstairs with me, he wasn't on the lease yet. It was still just my place. But, like, I factored him in from the beginning. But the way that, like, if I had to, lower my standards of, like, my living of a place that I have the liability in.
And you've established it.
If I have to lower that for a man who's just knocking some money off of the rent that I don't need him to do because he was not factored in from the beginning.
Right.
It builds a level of resentment that, like, you will just hate looking at him. You will hate everything about him. And, like, I love him to pieces, but, like, you know, sometimes he leaves his clothes on the floor and it's annoying, but, like, I don't wake up and, like, roll over and, like, look at him and get annoyed. And, like, you're getting annoyed with him because, to me, it's a combination of being disrespectful, not sharing any of the responsibility, and he's just around and he needs to get out.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, not just, like, physicals, you know. No, I think he needs to leave, like, forever. And then, you know, work his way back in with a gauntlet. So Hunger Games.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And,
have
like,
him leave or go find a new place. Having to plan her
meals around what we both wanted. It sounds like you have a nanny job. What do you mean the kids want to eat? Yeah, kick him out.
Or find a place together. That's more expensive.
Whatever, he needs to get out of your house. That is your house. Yes. Why is he there?
Yeah.
He's lost.
Yes.
Send him on his way.
Sorry
for him. Happy for you. Can't wait for you to have this freedom back.
I can't wait for you to breathe.
Yeah. Take a shit in peace. I know this man shits with the door open too.
All right, we're going to take another break, and when we get back, we'll get into But Are They Wrong?
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's tax season, and we're all a bit tired of numbers. But here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it. Guaranteed. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
All right, now it's time for But Are They Wrong? And that is when we pick someone in pop culture who has some type of irrelevance or relevance that we'd like to point out and say, you're wrong.
Boo, shame on you.
And who do you got, Megan?
I would like to nominate J.K. Rowling.
Again?
Yes, but because I have ended up on a deep dive and a Mount Rushmore that I guess has been going on since about 2022, but I was not privy to it, and it's brand new information to me. So we have to talk about it.
Which means it's probably brand new information for me too.
Yes. And it was brand new information when I told Mott's, because that's how I asked him to gauge if maybe, like, to see if he knew if I was the last person on Earth. So I think you also don't know. So on International Asexuality Day, which was April 6th, and I will say thank you, Joanne, because up until you mentioned this, I didn't know this existed. So thank you for bringing attention to it. She tweeted, "Happy International Fake Oppression Day to everyone who wants complete strangers to know they don't fancy a shag." What an odd thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird, very odd. And she also tweeted, "How do asexual people know whether they're gay or straight? I wonder." Is that a coherent thought to you?
They're asexual.
Yeah. So anybody who has, like, a lot of people have, like, kind of moved on from the J.K. Rowling, like, discourse, because they're like, oh, you know, she doesn't hate trans people. She's just, like, you know, the typical, like, turf talking points of, like, she's just, like, concerned about, like, women's safety. If you or anyone in your life still believes that, you actually have not checked in with her in a very long time. She hates everybody. Mm-hmm. She outwardly and always has, but, like, she's not hiding whatsoever or claiming she does not hate trans people. She does. She's coming after gay people. She's coming after lesbians. She's coming after people who are asexual. Someone asked her who she would like to cast, or, like, something about, like, who should play the, I think it was about like, who should play the new Harry, Ron, and Hermione, or, like, something about whatever. Her implication was, like, I hate those 3 fucking kids now because they don't stand by her. Mm-hmm. So you become enemy number 1 if you don't outwardly, vehemently support her agenda of insanity. And so this, like, popped up on my feed, and I was like, of course, here she is doing her fucking shit again and again and again. And then I ended up in a comment section where people were saying, dang, that mold is really getting to her. And I was like, huh? Which brought me into thousands and thousands of videos, tweets, people talking about this, again, since, like, 2022, of this pretty well documented, and I think most people are pretty confident in saying that nearly factual deception of the fact that we are watching a woman go mad in a home full of mold.
What?
Her house is molding. She's been living in this same rich billionaire lady castle for years, and she does these video interviews, and over the course of the last couple years, there is black mold growing all over her walls that was not there before. Mold rage is a very real thing. Like, it doesn't turn you into a bigot or a racist or a transphobe or anything like that. The same thing how we talk about, like, the lead paint generation. It can completely remove your inhibitions, or it removes your filter. It removes your sense of, like, should I say this? Should I not? Your impulse control, your, you know, how you feel about certain things. Like, it makes you rage out. And so to see this woman who always was a transphobe, always was a bigot, has, like, completely deteriorated into this, like, she feels like the anger fucking thing from Inside Out. Like, she's just, like, literally, like, just sweating and angry all of the time. And her house is covered in mold.
Why? She has all the money in the world.
She is too busy.
With her little Twitter fingers.
With her trans agenda.
For her, it's X, I will say.
As the entire home is covered in mold. Most it's everywhere.
Like, for real, why doesn't she have somebody come in?
Because she can't recognize it, because she's so fucking deep in it.
Why can't she leave?
Because she's at a level. People are saying that it's like a level of mold in her home that it's fucking with her brain so much that this is, like, every time we're like, if I had as much money and as power as you, I would quite literally just, like, shut the fuck up and, like, do whatever. But she can't. Like, she's living a miserable life because she insists upon living a miserable life. And there was one specific tweet that killed me because it was very poetic. And when I told Mats was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, brand new information to me too. Brand new. Oh yeah, she also tweeted, at this point, it's quicker to list who isn't under the queer umbrella than who is. If there's one thing all religious, heteronormative people have in common, it's that they require all family members to be in constant state of sexual arousal. I'm amazed you don't know this, Kara, which is like her responding to just like a normal fucking person who's like being like, can you not? But someone did like a tweet of being like, R.I.P. Edgar Allan Poe, you would love to watch a billionaire be driven mad by the mold in her in her fucking castle. Like, it is just, and again, it's like, it's not an excuse whatsoever. It doesn't make you like changes. It's the same thing with like roid rage. Like it amplifies your emotions that you already have towards things.
It doesn't change it.
No, it doesn't change what that is directed towards, but it changes the level of how much you care about it, and like the anger, the fervency you have towards that. And it's like, I think we should all, feel pretty good at knowing that she goes to bed absolutely miserable, choking on black mold every night. Fucking crazy. And I told Mats, and then Mats I saw on our to-do list, which was check our house for mold. And I was like, am I angry? And he goes, no, I'm always worried about mold. Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I'd never heard of any of this. And I would have thought of me of all people would have.
Yeah, because like there's so many things to hate her for, and just adding to the list would be great. And you're just now hearing about it.
And watching, and like she has the same setup of where her computer is over all these years. So people have like literal documenting of the mold growing on all of the walls. And like, that's how you know that people are like, well, she's new. Like this to me, like I think that is like peak white women with money behavior, is like living in like a musty, like moth-eaten sweaters and like a stink, like just like, it's like a damp shut-in in this nasty home.
Because if I had that much money, I would have people that came in and cleaned, like they would be living there with me cleaning every day, and they would know, because they wouldn't want to live in that. And they'd be like, hey, there's mold. But she doesn't even...
Nobody must step foot in there besides her. I don't even know if she leaves it. I know. It feels like a horror movie.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. It makes me feel really good knowing that this is what she's suffering with. The end.
My turn. And my pick is the K-pop group Kiss of Life.
Yeah. First I heard of them.
Yeah, first I've heard of them too.
What an intro.
Uh-huh. So there's this rising girl group, Kiss of Life, that has come under fire recently because this article says accused, but we saw it with our actual eyes.
Yeah.
They're mimicking Black American culture that is both offensive and disrespectful. And this isn't an isolated incident in the K-pop industry. There's a lot of appropriating Black culture. And K-pop clearly is heavily influenced by Black Americans because they're singing R&B, they're dancing. A lot of them are doing the exact dances of R&B stars in their videos. And I think a lot of them are very talented, but a lot of them don't give credit to and I won't even say influence. Some of them are directly copying and giving absolutely no credit. And so, Kiss of Life got on a live stream, and it was one of the members' birthdays. And the group itself has adopted a quote unquote old school hip hop vibe. And as part of this birthday celebration, they were wearing, some of them had cornrows, they had on gold chains. They were also doing like stereotypical mannerisms and saying words that are associated with Black American rappers. One of the members, whose name is Belle, wanted to be referred to as Little Taco Bell during this. And I don't even know what that was. Like, I don't know what you're trying to insinuate in any type of way. Like, that doesn't even make sense.
No, we're being offensive, and also there's not a strong, clear through line.
Yes. And then their agency, S2 Entertainment, made this handwritten apology. And there was even more backlash because it wasn't really an apology as many apologies go. It was just vague in nature. They said that they were being culturally insensitive, but they failed to directly address the Black community in this. And then there was one actual like Black K-pop idol is what they're called, in the group Black Swan, and they pointed out and stated, if you want to apologize to us Black people, make sure you actually address us. And there's a lot of K-pop groups that have been embroidered in a lot of controversy. There's been some that even use the N-word because, again, they're just copying and have no reference to what they think that they're honoring. So, but since this is But Are They Wrong, and I'm just pointing at one group, then that's all I'll talk about for now. But it was ridiculous. They looked so dumb.
Yeah. I had secondhand like embarrassment.
And I don't even know who these people are.
I mean, and it was like, it wasn't a good theme. Like,
no.
Also,
what is that theme?
There were no decorations. Like,
and this was somebody's birthday. I would be.
It looked like a shitty birthday.
And like, what is this?
I love a theme. I love a dress code, and it's like
if it was like
you picked to do something offensive, and then you did it like incredibly half-assed, and like there's no decorate.
It could have been like a rapper. This is like a way to do it where you're honoring someone. It could have been like, let's dress up as our favorite female rappers, and then they come dressed up as like Doechii or Meghan or Glow, like. But in a tasteful way of doing it.
Women
entertainers.
Yeah, like women of hip hop, or it could be like 90s,
right?
90s R&B. Like there are so many, and like I can't imagine sacrificing your birthday party theme to be like, well,
let's get every stereotype there is, and that's what we're doing.
And zero decorate. Like you could have had like
a fun party,
sparkle themed party,
yeah,
and there could have been decorate like. This is the least fleshed out thing. It was offensive, objectively offensive, intentionally, at the expense of the quality of the party.
Right, and you're just mocking people too. You just like all of this sucks.
Theme.
There's nothing.
If I went to a party like that, I'd be like,
"Where's the fun? Where's the fun?"
You wanted so badly to make an offensive joke that you said, "I'm sacrificing the quality of the party. We're not doing any of that." And I go, for couldn't you just had an offensive tweet? Like you'd make a whole party for it and then live stream and film.
And also like with their management, I don't believe that they did this on their own anyway, because of the way that K-pop groups are set up. They had to have already been okayed by their managers to do this.
Also, the idea that everyone in a K-pop group, those are the only friends that they have, the only people they spend time with, the only people they're going to spend their birthday with, not their families. Just them all together. It's a photo op.
Yep.
And like a lot of people in like Western media, I will say a lot of white, specifically like white K-pop fans in the United States will talk about like how, we don't, this is why they're doing pop stars better than we can, because, we used to have Mickey Mouse Club. We used to have this like grueling training process for pop stars. It used to turn out Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like all of these people. And like, we don't have that anymore. And that's why like I can only respect K-pop. And I'm like, okay, I don't know that anyone who went through the Mickey Mouse Club is going to be like, yeah, that was a very healthy environment for a young entertainer. And also like the psychological, like people who've gotten out of K-pop groups or even just like have their lives have ended while they have still, it's like very explicitly like, oh, this is very much big brother, big sister, mom, dad, everybody's, it is like it is so all encompassing, and like to praise it as like, this is what everyone should be doing.
That weirdo man that founded NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, O-Town, and there's others that didn't really pop. But that man stole all their money and was abusive towards them.
Yeah, like to romanticize it, and then and they like sing the praises of the people who are putting these groups together and representing them, but then also using them to like distance from like, well, they didn't know, like, their management just set this up. And I was like, but you're kissing the ground that they walk on, because like, what? And I literally looked it up because I don't listen to much K-pop, but if a song comes on that I'm like, oh, I'll like write down just with anything. But in general, it's not like in a lot of the media that I consume naturally. But the one song that I had always had on a playlist was by Blackpink called Ice Cream. And I was looking it up when you're talking, and I was like, I would bet my money I'm going to know some of the songwriters. Victoria Monet's on it.
Yeah.
Like, there is a very clear style. And I think if anyone's even denying that, it's ridiculous. And like you said, it's management infused or directed fandom. So like, I'm not saying that I don't believe that any of these women, or I don't mean any of these women in this group. I think this group, regardless about how your management should have told you this, but like you shouldn't have done this point blank. But like to feel that this comes across as a very natural, like, oh, I'm a huge fan of this. I think you would have had a better fucking theme.
Yep.
I think you would have had a better. I think there would have been
actually appreciated instead of appropriating, then there would be a better thing.
And you have had a problem how your other band, like the other members of this group interpreted this theme because it would mean something to you.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah. Fuck them.
All right. So that's the end of our episode. How you feeling, Megan?
I'm good. Have I ever told you about that Los Angeles subreddit where someone posted saying like, "Hey, I'm traveling, coming from I forget somewhere. Actually, no, I think they were in LA. It was like, where can I meet cute boys who look like Jungkook and like who look like the guys from BTS? Like any places where you can tell me where like hot young Korean men hang out." And all of these people in the process are going, no, and everyone's commenting going, "Don't tell her. This is really
weird.
creepy." And then someone responded like 3 months later, and then it got like brought up again on the subreddit being like, "Oh my God, I would love to meet you." And everyone's like, "Stop. No. You're unfamiliar with what they're trying to do." And now it's an ongoing joke in the Ask Los Angeles subreddit where someone goes, "Hey, I'm looking to meet big bosomed MILFs in downtown LA. Can anyone tell me what bars to go to?" And you're like, "Hey, I'm looking to meet friendly seagulls with a gaggle of talking snow leopards. Can someone give me?" I was like, "Oh, but it reminds, yeah, the obsession." It's so fucking weird.
So weird. And they're so talented, but like, let's not be offensive.
Yeah. And then they'll also get more talented if you stop like forgiving them for doing horrible shit and then also praising them for like doing, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
have higher standards and you will enjoy them a lot more.
All right. Join us tomorrow. For See You Next Tuesday. That's where you get to vote on this episode. But what you'll hear tomorrow will be last week's episode. Wednesday, that's where you're just going to catch up or listen to your favorite episode of any of our shows. Also, if there's anything that's in the old But Am I Wrong feed that you would like us to bring over, let us know.
Oh, good call.
And we can put that up on a Wednesday. On Thursdays, there's Don't Blame Me. And then Friday, we've got Fisting Friday.
Get ready to get fisted on a Friday. Yeah.
Okay, Shakira.
Meant to be together.
All right, well, we will circle back. Goodbye.
This is a Sister Sign production hosted by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa D. Montz, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
And music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
What's up, fellow TV watchers? It's Brian from The Core Podcast, where we cover all things Apple TV+. We are wrapping up our recaps of Emmy favorite Severance, but 2025 on Apple TV Plus is just getting started. In April and May, The Core is recapping Seth Rogen's new Hollywood satire, The Studio, and Jon Hamm's dark comedy, Your Friends and Neighbors. We'll also be recapping the first 2 seasons of Apple's sci-fi thriller, Foundation, heading into the 3rd season of that later this year. Search for The Core, all things Apple TV Plus, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Can you actually change your personality if you want to? How does peer pressure work, and why is it so powerful? Should you ever really trust your gut when you make a big decision? These are just a few of the topics we've recently covered on my podcast, Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and each episode of Something You Should Know covers multiple topics that are likely relevant to you. You'll discover things you can use in your life today, right now. like how to have a great conversation, how to be more courageous, the anatomy of the perfect apology, and much, much more. To date, there are over 1,000 episodes of Something You Should Know, and we've gotten over 4,000 mostly 5-star reviews. I invite you to check out Something You Should Know. Look for the bright yellow light bulb on the blue background. Something You Should Know, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Have you ever heard about the 19th century French actress with so many lovers that they formed a lovers' union? Or what about the Aboriginal Australian bandit who faked going into labor just to escape the police, which she did escape from them. It was a great plan. How about the French queen who murdered her rival with poison gloves? I'm Ann Foster, host of the feminist women's history comedy podcast, Vulgar History. Every week I share the saga of a woman from history whose story you probably didn't already know, and you will never forget after you hear it. Sometimes we re-examine well-known people like Cleopatra or Pocahontas, sharing the truth behind their legends. Sometimes we look at the scandalous women you'll never find in a history textbook. Listen to Vulgar History wherever you get podcasts. And if you're curious, the people I was talking about before, the Australian woman is named Marianne Bugg, and the French actress was named Rochelle, no last name, just Rochelle. And the queen who poisoned her rival is Catherine de' Medici. I have episodes about all of them.